welcome to Experimental Biochemistry II. A piece of advice that should be really helpful is to do the bench log right after lab. It's really important to do it even if you can in lab. Like once you do one step, you go to your computer or your tablet, whatever it is, and put in what you did, because it's really important to have it on right there, because once you do the final lab report or the final e-portfolio, you wouldn't remember the stuff that you did in lab during the semester. So it's better to keep it there right away.
Yeah, and especially like it's all gonna pile up at the end. So like if you get it one by one done, it's not gonna be as much work and as tedious.
Even though it's super annoying to do, actually document the stuff that you do, because you're gonna inevitably screw up the lab like we did, and then you have to look back over your notes, and it's so hard to remember what happened. So there is actually a point to doing a lab notebook. And I think that's what I really want to say.
I think you really got it all, actually. You're gonna make a mistake, and you're gonna want to know what it was, and write it down. Everything down.
Yeah, write
like,
everything
who did
down.
what you measured it with. Keep track of your concentrations. It will come back up.
Yeah.
It's really annoying, but just do it. Just try and keep on top of it as much as you can, because it's awful, but it'll keep you on top of things. So keep up.
You can always have something to refer back to just in case something happens. Like if your research doesn't go right, you know, okay, I did this on this day, and I can refer back to it to see what I did wrong, so I know what not to do.
When she gives the assignments immediately, it's nice to write the due date right next to it, so you know when it'll be done and like the time. Because sometimes you have multiple assignments due in the same week. Canvas will be your best friend as far as the previous semester, your fall semester, because then you'll have documents from there that you would use for this lab.
The Canvas is very important, where you write everything, like the bench logs. Make sure you write every step you do, so if something goes wrong, you know, to go back and see.
During the lab time, I think it's important to take pictures. Therefore, when you do your portfolio or when you look back, it's good to see exactly how you did something and the exact like amount of something that you poured in, like the weight, like anything. Pictures are really important to have a record of.
So just stay on top of the e-portfolios, because like it does end up piling up in the end. And also just try to stay organized with like any like rough scribbles that you have or anything. Just make sure you have everything, like you know what everything is, like label everything really well also. Yeah, just organization is important.
Yeah, going along with that, I think it's important to write down everything that you do during class. If you could do it directly into your portfolio, that would be helpful. Or if you want to write it down, I think that's also helpful, and then that's just your rough scribble for the day. So it's just important to keep track of everything with the measurements.
It's important to ask questions whenever you do something, either like your classmates or Dr. Goody, because if you mess up during like one step, it could really like screw up the whole project. So it's really important that you make sure you do every step correctly.
If you don't know how to do something, always ask Dr. Goody. She's very helpful for everything.
I suggest you to be very involved, very proactive. Do not be distracted with your cell phone, with your other notes. Be focused on what you're doing.
Spend your time wisely so that you're not falling behind and you're not lagging behind in the course, because it's an experiment, so you do need to follow pretty much what's going on, depending on whenever it's going on, so you do need to make sure that your time is on point.
One piece of advice I can give is to plan before lab. Like even for an hour, just sit down and figure out the dilutions of everything you need to make, the concentrations you need, like where you're going to get the supplies, and just have it written out on a piece of paper. Because sometimes I didn't do that and I was just confused the whole lab, like just trying to find supplies and figure out what I needed to do. But the times that I actually sat down and figured it all out beforehand, everything went really smoothly. So that would be my advice: plan beforehand.
Come into lab, like know what materials you're going to use, like where they are, like how much of everything you're going to need, so that way you don't spend most of the lab doing calculations.
True. Calculations are the key.
Yeah, do them before
lab. Yeah.
About the research question, think of it before the end of the semester because you're gonna have a lot of things to do at the end.
Yeah, the more time you put in during the semester, the easier the poster and the research question will be because you'll have a developed idea of what you would want to do.
Always try to communicate, meet with your group, talk to them, text them, call them, even have a cup of coffee with them. It's gonna be fun because you get to know them and you get to do a really good work when you work in a group.
Yeah, I agree with you. When you work as a team, you tend to do better. I guess that worked for us. We each had a separate part and we talked about what we had to do when we were ready for lab. So I think that helps a lot if you work as a team.
Well, I'm not the best at working in teams, but I like working as a team towards the end. I like doing my own thing at first and then coming together at the end and going over and having people check over my work, to be honest. But it was fun.
Okay, so the one thing that I thought was the most important for succeeding in this class is just working with your team and being a good team player. So most of the class, you have to rely on your other group members to succeed. You can't do it all yourself. So
yeah, I feel like knowing your strengths and weaknesses is really important so that you can play off everyone's strengths. And for example, whoever's strong at, for example, doing slides, they can do the slides. Whoever's strong at making the buffers does the buffers. Whoever has more technical skill does the more technical stuff. That way, your group can be really successful.
it's also good to know a plan. You have to know exactly what you're going to do when you go to class. Because sometimes
yeah, it's good. Yeah, not
you need to be
procrastinating.
efficient.
Definitely not.
Do your work in advance.
That's it. Yeah.
That's all I got.
We have one more word of advice.
Don't underestimate the importance of socializing with your lab group. Group drinking is great for lab morale.
So one advice that we would like to give other people would be not to choose your friends as lab partners because then you would have a lot of disagreements and that could destroy a friendship. Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, try to stay with the individuals you don't know because when you're with friends you're going to fight and then someone's going to do most of the work and it's not going to be fair.
Try to do as much as work as you can because then you're going to know what you're doing. You're going to go for research, you're going to do experiments, and you're going to have lots of fun.
And good luck with the careers. I think you're going to have so much fun.
Good luck.
And do not try to calibrate the Spec 20 either. That's
Don't
the other piece
calibrate
of
anything you're not told to calibrate.
Yeah.